Hi everyone, welcome to this lovely, it is Wednesday, it's Tuesday today.
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday afternoon, I'm a day out already. Tuesday afternoon, we have 3 filmmakers waiting who are taking part in the Toronto Lifter Film Festival, which we will interview this afternoon. So if you do have any questions for our filmmakers, please put it in the chat and we'll do our best to get those questions answered.
Absolutely. Very excited to be doing these again. Yeah. It's been such a fun part of the online festival model. Definitely one of the benefits that we've been able to take advantage of is getting to know and promote some more of our filmmakers.
And what's really cool about the 3 filmmakers that we have on today, one of them is from New Zealand, which means if they were selected for the live screenings festivals, it isn't necessarily that they'll be able to attend. So having it online means that it is going to be a truly global audience.
Yeah, also very true. Well, in that case, I think it is time to head over and meet our filmmakers for today. Here we have with us Jin, Brent and Christian.
Hey guys.
Hello everybody.
Hey. What's up guys?
Hi.
Well, let's kick off then. So Jin, if you could start off our introductions by just saying a little bit about yourself, your role in your film, which film is screening with us, and a very brief rundown of it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Natalie and Claire, for having me on this show. It's great to be back. It's my second time. We met during the Tokyo Liftoff Festival. So thank you very much for having me back. Hello, everybody. My name is Jin. I'm the producer and creative director at J by J. We are a Toronto-based production company, and we specialize in telling happy, positive stories. And the film that I have in Toronto Liftoff Festival is it's called Accidental Activist, which is a short documentary, and is currently online under the emerging shorts category. And I've been a producer, or I'm typically a producer, but this was my first shot at directing, so it's my directorial debut. And I'm very happy to say that it's been selected into a number of festivals. And there's a story here. The protagonist is this gentleman who has spent his entire life trying to find create a safe, inclusive space for himself. And in the process of doing so, he has realized there are others in the same situation. So he has taken on this role of creating a big, inclusive, welcoming, safe space for all the people in the marginalized space here in Canada. So
amazing.
That's about it.
Well, thank you for introducing yourself and your project to us. Brent, could we head over to you? Can you introduce yourself and your project?
Hi, I'm Brent Tyroa from New Zealand. My film is Kidney, and it's basically the story of against all odds, a desperate mother finds a donor match for her sick daughter. She sets up a meeting with the donor match, but the possible donor went to school, a high school with the daughter, and the daughter actually brutally bullied her at high school. So there's a lot of, it all goes kind of wrong for the mother who set this meeting up. And the 3 must find a way to overcome that, the past. The past is sort of dominating the whole thing, and they must find a way to overcome that. And that's about it.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I was the writer and director.
Nice.
And I did the music in that as well, which just
a true independent filmmaker right there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much. Christian, can you now introduce yourself, please?
Hello, my name is Christian Martin. I am the director of Abstract. I reside from Toronto, Ontario, but I'm currently at the farm, which is up at up north around Midland and Tiny, if you're familiar with it. And this here isn't just any old farm, but this is also the farm that I shot my film.
Very
So
cool.
so so the plot goes is that it's set on a in a to make this synopsis short. It's the setting is set in a pandemic, but not a biological pandemic, but a supernatural kind. In this case, for this story, the protagonist has to go out in the world that the pandemic is currently happening and investigate what's the cause of the happenings. While there, he also has to find his sister that was also missing from the pandemic as well. So, so from so I recently just got. Was last year I graduated from George Brown College. Um, I've done some school projects, but now that I finished, I wanted to take it into the industry and get as much experience working on films from a creative perspective, and go to festivals and make a name for myself.
Nice, yeah, definitely. You should keep going. Like, if you've just graduated a year ago and you've got a film already in the film festival circuit, then what's next? Just keep making films is the advice that we always tell people. And there's a crazy fact that we actually shared with a group of filmmakers yesterday, that I think it's about 85% of first-time filmmakers don't go on to make another film. And that's crazy to me. And filmmakers aren't just one film. You have lots of stories that you can tell, and you're always going to learn from the projects that you do. So it's really, keep at it is the basic, is the basic thing to say.
What we're going to do now, guys, we're going to move on to some questions that we have for you, but we are going to move over to audio only. So do feel free to switch off your cameras, and we will get crystal clear sound. So interview style now.
There we go. Look at these cool photos.
There we go. So let's move on then, and starting with Jin. So obviously Accidental Activist is your first project in the emerging talent, as you said, as a director. But maybe then not necessarily as a director, maybe from one of the previous projects. What sort of obstacles have you had to overcome in your career so far?
Yeah.
I would say there are a couple of obstacles. The first one being that I'm very new to the film industry, and prior to entering the film industry, I was in a completely non-related field. So jumping into jumping into telling stories was quite challenging because I didn't know anybody, or more importantly, nobody knew me. So it took a lot of groundwork, a lot of catching up.
What was the other field that you were in before you moved into filmmaking?
Oh, I was in education. I was a teacher.
Oh, cool.
And prior to that, I was a production manager at a women's high fashion organization. So did different jobs. So this is a new foray for me. So yeah, it was just being an unknown entity in this very competitive world, and more importantly, like not having the technical understanding of making a film. So I never went to school for film. I'm a social cultural anthropology major, and along with microbiology. So film was very far away from my interest until recently. So that was I would say that was the initial hurdle.
Sure. How did you overcome that? Where were your kind of first steps in creating your network?
Just attending entrepreneur networking sessions.
Cool.
Just
nice.
meeting people, talking to people, and then because to go back, I repatriated from Tokyo 5 years ago. So when I came back to Toronto, I had a lot of friends and families, but nobody in the business world because I was over there for 20 years. So
Wow,
it
yeah.
was really, it was just the whole process of just, understanding how things work here in Canada again. So yeah, just networking, meeting people, hearing what they had to say, and then kind of getting understanding of what's happening and what's needed. So they all kind of came together.
Great. No, that sounds really
Yeah,
good.
so that would be my first hurdle. And I guess in relative or in respect to the film industry, the last 3 projects that we did, they're all short documentaries, and fortunately or unfortunately, these were commissioned projects. So these are not ideas or that I came up with, but
Sure.
the client approached me to tell the story of a third party person. So I did not know this. So I guess the subject of the stories, and more importantly, they did not know who I was. So the challenge was in getting to know the subject of the stories and getting them and earning their trust, so that they would open up and to share and willingly share their stories with me. So that was a real time-taking. I mean, albeit it was very enjoyable, but it was really tough at first because when all of the first meetings,
Sure.
they would just look at me and
What kind of things did you do to kind of break that tension and awkwardness?
just be me.
Just be
Just
you.
go in there. Yeah, just be me. Go in there and just, hey, I'm here. And this is who I am. This is what I'm here to do. And I like to ask you questions, but at the same time, I invite you to ask me as many questions as possible, so that you would feel comfortable with me.
Yeah, that's a nice technique, actually, getting to know each other.
Yeah, and I think that the key was not to do it all in one shot, but do it over a course of time. So in this latest project, The Accidental Activist, I would say it took me about 2 months of feeling up process, because the without revealing the actual story itself, the person was very very strict about his maintaining his privacy, and he was very concerned about how he would be portrayed in the story. So he was very, he had his guards up, and understandably so. So it took a very long time of shadow boxing,
Yeah.
of back and forth, before we both felt comfortable, and I was comfortable in proceeding with the project, because I knew that he would be 100% honest with me.
Yeah, I mean, it is a
So-
very delicate thing to open yourself up to be the subject of a film, and you don't know how that's then going to be portrayed, perceived. So I think you're right, building trust and a connection is so crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So patience and patience.
Yeah,
I think patience
patience.
is really key, and listening.
Yes, listening
yes,
is one of the biggest things.
Definitely.
Yes.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Brent, any problems that you had to overcome with kidney, or any sort of points to date in your filmmaking experience?
Well, in the run-up to kidney, I should back up a bit. I really sort of come from a writing background, because I was just writing screenplays to begin with. And I wrote 3 features. And I wouldn't recommend that to get into film that way, because it took up quite a few years. And the first script was pretty awful, and the second one was kind of half awful, but it showed a little bit of promise. And I think the third one I sort of got there, but this all took about a period of about 7 years. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, I suddenly decided, I've got to make something. So that's what led me to making Kidney, was the fact that I put limitations on it so that it could possibly be made. In other words, I decided to make it one scene in one location with the smallest cast I could, portray the story with.
Very
And
wise.
Yeah, we always talk to filmmakers about the accessibility of filmmaking, and what you've just said is like hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Having one location, limited actors.
You spoke about this in one of your workshops, didn't you? Doing it in reverse, thinking about these things before you even approach a concept.
Yeah.
What's at your disposal? What's within the realms of possibility? So definitely a good learning curve, I think, and a good experience.
Yeah, that's comforting to hear. So thanks. Thank you, Brent.
Yeah, so the other limitation I put on me was I was going to make a short, and I was going to keep it down to below 7 pages. I wrote 7 pages. I would have gone to 10, but no more than that. So these limitations actually played a part in the in getting the film made, because I had my mother's sleep out in line, or I call it a sleep out cottage, and so it's sort of I had a base there to. I knew I was going to complete the film if I could get it shot. The big problem I had when making it was gathering a cast crew, for one moment's shooting. When in these time-starved sort of modern times, it's very hard. Found it very hard to get even a small crew. We only had a casting crew of 7, but even that, I had allowed a long weekend. We had 3 days, and I thought this, it should be easy. But man, in the end, we only had about 5 hours to shoot it.
So you mentioned there that you used a small crew and it was shot over 3 days. Is that correct?
No, I was planning to shoot it over 3 days, a long weekend, but in the end, we only had about 5 hours to shoot it.
Oh my God. Wow.
Wow.
Yes.
That must have been an experience.
So then that one location was a lifesaver in the end.
Yes, yeah. And all the scenes, the driving up to the location, and that was all sort of played around that. But basically, the story is in that one room, and you just sort of use what you've got around you. I mean, I've got so many stories about it. It came so close to not being made. At least a dozen times.
Sure, but even though you faced and overcame these hurdles, it's amazing how creative you can be when you're faced with so many problems. So I just want to say congratulations for getting it shot and getting it made within that time frame.
Yeah, definitely.
But then also going back to the limitations of having one space and one crew, there are no limitations. The possibilities are endless. So it's just about being creative and getting ideas and going with it, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, it actually, it ended up in some ways getting some benefits out of the limitations, But it was a tough shoot.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it was.
Well, thank you for sharing. Christian, what about you? The same question.
Hello. So, so these are for the gripes too, or for the obstacles. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, here's here's the thing about my situation. It's not so much of an obstacle, but just a little bit of a gripe because in the making of this film, nobody. But I wanted to start it off by starting off with the reaction of many people reacting to the pandemic that was clearly going on. Nobody knew that it was nobody knew that it would happen, and because of the pandemic itself, we were limited to what we could do as filmmakers, like go out and shoot together, and and because of that, we were isolated. With
So,
my
can you remind me exactly when you shot it?
So I started off shooting it in March
Oh,
because
right,
it was
right in the midst of it. Okay.
right in the midst of it, and that's when I started. And that's when I started to go out and start shooting outside of my farm. In this situation, I was my own actor, my own cinematographer, my own director, and even my own editor.
Well, that must have kept you busy.
All the
So that
hats.
Yeah, it took me a while to plan out my. Well, I didn't actually not a while. I did it actually from my head. Fun fact, actually, I didn't have a script. I didn't do it from a script. I didn't even write one. So I did this from my head and planned the shots as I went along, and
Okay.
form a
So were you working
coherent story.
from just a treatment, or were there sort of like a few beats that you knew you wanted to hit? How did that work?
Sorry, what was that question?
So was it purely improvisation for the whole thing? Were you working from an outline, a treatment, or was it slightly more planned in that
It
you
was
knew there were beats that you wanted to hit with the improv?
I've so it was it was from improv, and there was there was no dialogue, and that's why I wanted to use the expressions of the character itself rather than expressing the story through its dialogue. So that's what was the major factor for this film in particular. I turned
Ooh.
was supposed to be a negative and made it to a positive by due to the limitations that I was given because of COVID-19.
Take that, COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Cool. How many days or how long did it take you to create or shoot the film?
It was actually a few days, actually.
I'm not surprised. I bet you had to keep watching it back to make sure that you'd got the right shots and everything was in place that you had
That sounds
planned.
like the definition of if you want something done, do it yourself.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Yes,
Absolutely.
and one of the inspirations with this film in particular called Abstract was a show called Primal. It was made by animation director Genny Tartakovsky, and it also had a similar premise, but in animation. And the premise is that a caveman has to survive the dangers of the world around him with with I I would say a T-Rex type creature
I
named
think I
Fang.
may have seen what you're talking about. Primal.
Yes.
I think we had something really similar here. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cool. But what about anything after? How was the editing process for you? Did you have any hurdles in that area as well, or was it mainly the pre and the shoot?
Absolutely not. Actually,
Oh,
I was
cool.
actually concise. I was concise on what I wanted to do,
Great.
and and it didn't take me that long to finish it.
So then from March to when did you get it complete? When were you start? When
Around
have you
the
started
first
submitting it to festivals?
around the first week of April. I would.
Oh, wow.
So literally a month.
Yes.
Wow.
Impressive.
Yeah. That's really impressive.
Yeah, very cool.
Nice.
Okay.
So then should we go backwards? So as we've got Christian on at the moment,
Sure.
why don't you tell us a little bit about your kind of 5-year plan and what it is that you hope to achieve from the industry and what your kind of goal is?
So I'm first, right? Okay. Ideologically, one of my long-term aspirations is to work alongside with some of the veteran filmmakers I've actually looked up to. One of them is Guillermo del Toro. There's Christopher Nolan, and as I mentioned earlier, animation director Genndy Tartakovsky.
Yeah.
That's really nice. That's not one that we've heard before, actually. You can imagine
Yes.
a lot of the sort of 5-year goals for people can crop up again and again.
Yeah.
But I don't think
Yes.
we've heard someone say work alongside their sort of idols.
And they're 3 amazing filmmakers
That's
as well.
really cool. Yeah.
But first, before I get there, I wanted to get into many productions as I possibly can, meet other professionals before I meet my idols, and learn from them, get the gist of what it's like to work in their films in the creative aspect, in terms of storytelling, and in terms of how they get creative with their certain shots. And then once the job's done, I'm not done yet, because I'm gonna be also screenwriting as well, because I also have scripts currently writing as well, and I'm also planning on doing some drawing in the storyboards. I'm also developing a pitch, and that's basically my plan. So to make it short, I go to production, get home, start working on my own personal projects, and then make pitches for them.
Yeah, and
Amazing.
if you're doing your own storyboarding and you're writing the scripts, and you've got perfect content for your pitch deck as well.
Amazing.
Yes,
Very cool.
I think that yes. I also would like to add before we move on.
No, that's fine.
One of the things that is going to drive me to make these pitches good is to, if not great, is to learn from the industry professionals that you currently have. And I think one of the most important things in this experience is to learn from the experience of other people, and then
We say it
translate what
all
you've
the
learned
time.
into your craft, and to really make the best products that you could ever create.
Definitely.
So when the world is a little bit more back to normal, something that we always say here is that you should attend film festivals, look at the films that are being selected, look at the filmmakers, go and network with those filmmakers, and if possible, go and have a coffee, have a drink with these filmmakers, and express how you felt about their film, and if there's any way that you two could potentially work together. And it doesn't matter if they're the same level as you, or maybe 1 or 2 stages in front of you. What they have, you can learn from. So it's really important to keep networking, reaching out to filmmakers that inspire you, and meeting up.
I've been in 2 productions before, but even after college, I've been in the 48-hour film project,
Yep.
Nice.
in which I was the behind-the-scenes videographer, and I've learned stuff from them. And in
Yeah.
the next project, with the same crew who made our project for the 48-hour film festival, I was also an actor. So I was an actor in what was in the short film called The Pawn, and that's when I got praised by some of my acting chops, and so after getting the influence of other crew members and even actors from the previous productions that I've been on, I want to translate that into my productions as well.
Very
So that's
cool.
an example of
Yeah.
this.
Awesome.
I mean, to summarize, we always say what you put out, you get back from the world. So it's true.
Yeah, I'm a massive believer in that.
Yeah.
And fate and being in the right place at the right time. And yeah, but you can only do that if you keep putting yourself out there and don't get disheartened by
Totally.
rejection, the negativity that the industry can have.
Yeah.
You've just got to see past that and be like, this is business. Sometimes business is hard. So
I would
cool.
also
Thank
like to
you so
say
much.
take risks, and
Exactly, yes,
Definitely.
take risks. Absolutely take risks.
Definitely.
because my film, the abstract, got selected, or it was published on Film Daily as an article. So it was written
Amazing.
about that.
Film Daily, that's a really good
Yeah.
achievement. Make sure you keep that press clipping and use it in your pitch deck and EPKs, whenever. It's really, really good promotional use.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Christian. Should we move on to
Anytime.
Brent?
Yeah, Brent, tell us about what the big dream is. Where do you hope your filmmaking career will take you?
Well, I mean, everyone would love to make a feature, and I'd love to find a producer. I guess everyone would love that too. But I have lately been thinking about gathering a group around me that whoever has the project, we sort of put all hands to the pumps on that project and get that over the line, and then move on to someone else's project. For example,
Oh, nice, like a film collective.
yes, yeah, or just a look, yeah. Sonia Pegg worked with me on Kidney, and now she wants to shoot a documentary. So, you know,
Who
so
did you just mention there? Did you say Simon Pegg?
Sonia Pegg,
Oh,
sorry.
Sonia Pegg. I was going to say, Simon Pegg is a massive English comedian. Ah.
No, she's yeah. Well, one of the lady that was kind of assistant director on Kidney. Anyway, now she wants to shoot a documentary. So if we all sort of get her project over the line, and then sort of the next, you know, help the next person out, sort of thing. You know,
That's really nice.
you've got to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely. That kind of
I
goes
also
back to
like-
what we were saying about what you give out, you get back.
yeah. I mean, you know, a problem halved is a problem solved, or something like that. But also, I'd like to streamline everything. It's so, I find it so hard to, you know, everything seems to be a bit of a slog. And if I could make it so that I write things faster, shoot things faster, and the pre-production is faster, that would be great. It'd save me a lot.
Well, then
A lot
that's
of
exactly what you should do as your next steps. Build your collective, build your network, and then keep making films.
Yes.
Use
And
your
yeah.
talent.
all of those steps that you've just mentioned, the pre, the production, the post, will be quicker the more people you surround yourself with who engage with the project.
Yeah.
So as you said, it will become a lot more streamlined, and that stops you from like losing that momentum and motivation, as you said.
Yeah. As for funding, I mean, we've got in New Zealand, we've got the New Zealand Film Commission, and they do probably the utmost that they can do. But I think people have to sort of, I don't know if you have the same sort of thing overseas, but people have to find other ways of funding, I think. Perhaps local sponsorship or something. I'm not sure. I'm not a producer, but you know, just rather than the same avenues, I think they have to see if they can find some sort of other avenues to get funding or some sort of backing.
Yeah, this is the problem that we hear over and over and over again, that there physically isn't enough money to make their projects. Their funding schemes, especially right now, are sparse because of COVID, and lots of the UK ones are closed actually for the rest of this year. They want to give the money to the ones that already had got their application in, so that means that there is no open applications at this moment in time in various areas. Some are still open, which is great, but that's not enough to serve everyone. So then you've got
Do
the
they-
option of your own Kickstarter campaign or another.
Or as you mentioned, private investment.
Yeah, private investment. Knock on a rich person's door and beg.
Yeah. Do they have a film commission or something like that in England?
Yeah, we do. We have different tax schemes, but as Natalie said, at the moment, well, to be honest, actually, this dates back to Brexit. Quite a few things came crashing down, but hopefully we'll find a way forwards again. We do have certain schemes open. But to go back to your career goals then, so you've mentioned obviously the feature film, a film collective. Anything else to add there?
No, I just get better at my craft. That's about all I can think
That's
of.
cool though.
Yeah.
You've definitely got like a clear route in
And
your
sometimes,
mind.
sometimes having, I mean, creating a collective is a big step, but once you
Massive.
break that down into bite-sized pieces, one by one you get on board your team, all of a sudden you have this possibility to make lots of films and do lots of different things that maybe wouldn't have been possible as a one-man band. Unless you're Christian, then you can do anything and take over the world. But
Yeah,
I think it's a great plan.
Yeah, thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah, I'm a bit like Christian in a way. I did all that kind of on Kidney. I did the editing and whatnot. But
Sure.
it's a bit of a DIY thing that you just have to do. You know, when if no one else is going to do it, you're going to have to do it. Sort of.
Great. Well, thank you for that.
Okay.
Jin, what about you? 5 years from now, what's the dream? What's the plan to get there?
Right. So, I've had a chance to listen to Christian and Brent's, their goal and their dreams. And to me, it sounds like they're very, very talented and they're capable of doing, all that's necessary on their own. For me, as I had mentioned earlier, I'm very new to this, so I rely on good help. So, I rely on director of photography, directors. Sure.
Can I just make a point on that, actually? So
Yeah.
that's one of the main pieces of advice we give fresh filmmakers, that if you're starting out in this industry, it is super vital to have a strong DOP, a cinematographer on board, because you may have the vision and you may think you know what it is that you want to achieve, but then when it comes to it, you might not be able to get that shot or get the lighting quite right to achieve that vision that you had. But a cinematographer or a DOP will, especially if they are experienced, as you've just mentioned. So that was a really, really good point.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So I've been very, very fortunate to have been surrounded myself with, talented and passionate and really dedicated people who believe in my vision, and they've signed up to be with me, and because of their support and their guidance, I am, I've been able to achieve, I'm able to reach where I am now. And so I like to continue this journey and take them on, a bigger and a greater and wilder ride in the world of storytelling. And so we like to, our focus is on telling Canadian stories to the world, and also telling stories about Japan or stories set in Japan to the world. So we have this, we want to create this Tokyo, Toronto pipeline of content creation, and just telling happy, positive stories that that's percolating in both of these places, and share with the
Absolutely.
rest of the world. So we want to let it rip in the
So
next
one
5
thing
years.
that you should look into is definitely co-productions between Japan and Canada.
Yes. So I've already had one of my director of photography and director go over to Japan and do a short feature.
Cool.
Right. So we're laying the foundation of creating a network of, just people who, like-minded people who are into telling good stories, good, happy, positive stories, and have a great time while doing it. So I've got, not only my family, but also as I said, is the talented group of people who've supported me thus far on my back, and we're going to go for a wild ride in the next 5 years. So that's the dream.
I'm excited to see these productions, and please do keep us in the loop.
Definitely.
All three of you keep us in the loop of what you're doing coming up. But yeah, it sounds
Absolutely.
really interesting, and at Liftoff we do like to follow our filmmakers' journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a very specific business plan, but it's a vision, and
it's a great
vision
vision.
that's carried us thus far to this point. So I think we can go farther.
Exactly, and the visions are so important. Lots of people forget about why they want to make films. They just make films because it's a film that they want to make. And if you've got your vision, then you'll always come back to that, and that may spring new ideas, fresh content, fresh films.
Yeah,
That's
for
right.
anyone who's watching, who's sort of done our production accelerator, our co-founder Ben Pullman calls this your mission statement, and he says you must always have this in like the forefront of your mind, because that will then be carried through everything you do.
Otherwise,
and I think that's very true.
What's the point?
Yeah,
as he says.
Yeah, that's right. Because that has to be the guiding light there, right? That has to be that star that's always up there. So whenever you kind of get lost in the forest, something to get you out of the forest and head in the original direction. So those are good words from Ben.
Perfect. Thank you so much for all sharing your stories. It's been wonderful, and we will be back on Friday actually to do the next Toronto roundup.
We will. Thank you again
Absolutely.
so much all for joining us. We appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Claire and Natalie. You guys are doing a great job. I really enjoyed being part of this whole Liftoff family. And
welcome
keep
to
it
the
going.
family.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you, and we hope you will enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
For sure we will.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so we're moving on to what's happening for the rest of this week, month.
Yeah.
Well, what else we have coming up?
That was very cool hearing a lot about them. Every time it's like new insights, new stories.
And and it is nice that it is personal to the filmmakers, and it's not just generic. Well, sometimes it is about funding, but that is the problem that most filmmakers face. So when you hear that other people's goals are simply, I want to work with people I look up to, or I want to create my own production company, essentially.
And I just love hearing the little anecdotes from set as well. It's always fun to hear.
Yeah.
But we've got a busy week ahead. As always, I feel like I say that every time, but it's true. We have the Liftoff Sessions August running this week, live until Sunday, 10 p.m. BST. 8 shorts programs and a features program.
We do.
So feast on that.
We do. Sorry, I was just reading the comments in here. There are lots of people shouting out their films that are taking part in both Sessions and Toronto.
Amazing.
So keep them coming.
Thank you for screening with us, and we hope you're all enjoying the festival programs.
So
join us on Friday, as you can see the icon there, for our third voting roundup.
And we will be inviting 3 fresh filmmakers on from Toronto who are engaged in the chat room on Friday's chat
for our final interview.
Yeah, it's the final one, isn't it?
Final.
Oh my god.
A month has whizzed by, but there's still a week and a half of the festival, so before I say that, it's not over yet.
It's not over yet. There's still lots of time to get your votes in, and remember there are 2 ways to vote. You have to do it through the Vimeo chat wall and also on the Liftoff link, which is at the top of everyone's emails. So just go through, and on Friday we'll go into more details about that if you are having any issues.
Absolutely.
I look forward to it.
We look forward to seeing you on Friday.
Yeah, cool.
Please join us then.
Adios.
Au revoir.